Just smile and don't talk about work, my mother whispered as she adjusted my sleeve. She drives a garbage truck, someone snorted from across the table. Laughter rippled, tight, polite, laced with pity. One woman leaned over her champagne glass and asked, "So, do you actually touch the trash?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Because from the head table, a sharply dressed man stood and said, "Sorry, did you say Riley James?" The room turned. He smiled. "She restored my '64 Mustang last year. Best damn work I've ever seen. People fly parts across oceans to get her hands on them. You know what it feels like to pay for someone's dream party, only to be told you're not polished enough to attend. I'm Riley. I'm 31. I live in a no-name corner of Nevada in an apartment that smells like engine grease and fresh coffee. Most mornings, I'm up by 3:30 a.m., hair shoved under a cap, steel toes laced up, and hands already calloused before the sun rises. I work as a garbage collector for the city. Not glamorous, not cute, just real. It's the kind of job that makes people pause at dinner parties and say, "Oh, good for you," like I just survived something rather than earned a living. But that job, it pays my bills, pays for my freedom, pays for peace. It also funds the thing nobody in my family knows about. See, I don't just collect trash, I collect forgotten treasure. 4 years ago, I started picking out vintage car parts people left behind in garages, storage units, or closed-down auto shops. I taught myself restoration. Turns out people will pay serious money for the right pieces if you know what to look for. Last month, I found a '69 Camaro air cleaner tossed beside a shuttered garage. Cleaned it, verified it flipped it for $875. The week before, a set of Krager SS wheels left behind a storage unit. Took them home polished, then sold them for $1,200. Last year, $120,000 in income. All from parts that smelled like rust and gasoline. All while my mom still introduced me as just Riley. She does something with the city, I think. I keep it quiet. No social posts. No family bragging. My coworkers think I'm a tomboy with a thing for cars. My parents think I'm stuck. But I know better. I've got 2 storage units full of inventory, a side workshop I'm slowly turning into a real business, and a client list that spans 3 states. I track every penny, pay my taxes, and reinvest like clockwork. But none of that matters when your family sees you as an oil-stained disappointment, especially when your sister is Celine. She's always been the star. USC graduate, corporate job at a fancy cosmetics brand in LA. She's got the blowouts, the brand partnerships, the posts that look like magazine spreads. Growing up, I was the girl who liked tools. She was the girl who hosted tea parties for her stuffed animals and insisted we speak with British accents. I loved her, but I knew where I stood. Celine was the princess. I was the grease monkey. So when our dad called one Tuesday night and said, "Your sister just got engaged," I wasn't shocked. Celine had been dating Evan, some finance guy with a slick smile and legacy money. His family's the kind that vacations with senators. I figured they'd do something ridiculous like a Malibu party with string lights and champagne towers. What I didn't figure was that they'd come to me for help paying for it. Celine really has her heart set on this gorgeous venue, Dad said, but they're a little short on the deposit. Just $5,000 to secure the date. $5,000. $5,000 they didn't have but were comfortable asking from the daughter they never invited to brunch. And yet, I said yes. I wired it the next morning with a note that read, "Congrats, Celine. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness." She never replied, not even a thank you. I brushed it off. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she'd say something at the party. Except I never got the invitation. Not in the mail, not by text, not even a courtesy. "Hey, here's what to wear." And when I finally confronted her, she looked me straight in the face and said, "It's probably just better if you sit this one out." That was the moment I realized I wasn't family, I was funding. After Selena told me to sit this one out, I didn't yell, I didn't beg, I didn't even flinch. I just stared at my phone, her message glowing back at me like some bad punchline. "It's probably just better if you sit this one out." No explanation. No sorry, no shame. I called her 3 times. She didn't pick up. When she finally did, her voice was airy like I was a service call she forgot to cancel. "Riley," she sighed. "Look, it's not personal, it's just Evan's family is very particular about who's there." I sat on the edge of my workbench, my hands still greasy from polishing a carburetor. "Particular," I said slowly. "Celine, I paid for the damn venue." There was a pause. "What I sent the $5,000. You never wondered where it came from." She hesitated. "Dad said he had it covered. Yeah, with my money." She didn't respond right away, but when she did, her voice dropped to that low, patronizing whisper she uses when she's trying to sound rational while still being a monster. "Look, you're great and all, Riley, but this isn't just some backyard barbecue. It's cliffside in Malibu. Evan's parents are dignified people. His dad sits on a state board. His mom runs 3 nonprofits. I'm a sanitation worker, not a security risk. You work with trash, Riley." That one landed. "You want to say it a little louder for the people in the back," I said quietly. She kept going. "It's just, people will be wearing designer labels. There'll be photographers. You'd stick out. No Celine. I'd make you stick out. The bride with the garbage girl for a sister." I didn't say that you didn't have to. That's the thing with people like her. They hide their insults in passive tone and polished smiles. They wrap cruelty in bubble wrap and call it image management. She kept trying to soften the blow. "You wouldn't enjoy it anyway. Everyone's going to be talking about hedge funds and ski trips in Gstaad." I laughed, sharp and humorless. "You ever hear of the word projection, Celine? You're the one who wouldn't enjoy me being there." "Don't twist this, Riley. You twisted it the moment you decided your photo op mattered more than your own sister." She had the audacity to sound exasperated. "God, you're being dramatic." "You're right," I said, tone flat. $5,000 and a side of humiliation. Totally mellow. And that was the last thing I said before I ended the call. I sat in silence afterward, staring at the same carburetor I'd been working on before the chaos. My hands still smelled like WD-40 and betrayal. For 2 hours, I didn't move, didn't cry. I just sat there listening to the sound of my old ceiling fan whirring above me. My thoughts ran like oil on concrete, slick, messy, impossible to contain. Here's what hurt: I hadn't asked to be included. I hadn't demanded a spotlight or special treatment. All I wanted was to celebrate her. That was it. And apparently, that was asking too much. So I opened my laptop, pulled up the email from my dad, the one where he'd sent me the venue info. Cliffside, Malibu, June 18th. I called the number listed and got connected to the events coordinator. "Hi," I said, as professionally as I could. "I'm Riley James. I paid the $5,000 deposit for the James Harlow engagement party on June 18th. I'd like to request a cancellation and refund." She was polite but hesitant. "We have a non-refundable deposit policy. I understand, but I'm not the bridegroom or a contracting party. I paid as a third-party gift. That gift has been declined." That word "decline" sat heavy between us. She put me on hold. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Finally, she came back. "Since the final contract wasn't signed and no other funds have been transferred, we can process the refund. It will take 1 to 2 business days." "Perfect," I said, and gave her the card number. She asked if I wanted to inform the client. "No need," I said. "They'll find out soon enough." I ended the call and stared at the screen. My desktop wallpaper was a photo I'd taken in Death Valley, wide desert, rusted fence line, sky bruised with sunset. It looked exactly how I felt. Empty. Raw. Free. 2 days later, the money hit my account. I didn't celebrate, didn't post a thing. I just stared at that number, $5,000, and felt the ache under it. That was supposed to be her dream. Our bridge. A tiny silent way of saying, "I still believe in you even if you don't believe in me." Instead, it was the cost of clarity. I packed a bag, didn't tell anyone where I was going. Just threw some clothes in a duffel, grabbed my boots, and hit the highway. 4 hours north, then west again. I ended up in a place called Manzanita, Oregon. Fog rolled in like smoke. The cabins were small, wooden, and weathered, the kind that smelled like cedar and old stories. I turned off my phone and let the world disappear. 5 days, no calls, no texts, just the ocean and the quiet. I hiked. I sketched. I found a piece of driftwood I turned into a lamp base. I ate clam chowder out of paper cups and slept like a kid with nothing to prove. 2 days before the party was supposed to happen. I turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls. Celine, Mom, Dad, again. Voicemails, frantic, angry, tearful. Apparently Cliffside canceled. No other venues were available last minute. They'd tried to rebook, but it was high season. They ended up throwing a rushed backyard party under a leaking tent. It rained. The caterer showed up late. Half the guests left early. Evan's mother asked loudly if the family was having financial issues. Celine cried in a bathroom for most of it. And me, I sat on the deck of a seaside cabin sipping root beer, watching the tide roll in like karma in slow motion. I didn't respond to the 43 missed calls. I didn't text Celine. I didn't call my dad. I didn't even listen to all the voicemails, just the first few, because they all started to sound the same after a while. Desperate, confused, guilt-laced panic. Riley, the venue, just called. "What did you do, Riley? We need to talk. Your sister is devastated. Call us back. This is not how family behaves. You have to fix this. Fix this." That's what they always expected from me. Take the fall, cover the cost, smile through the exclusion, be the invisible support beam while they build castles out of pretense. But I was done. And for once I didn't respond. I didn't defend. I let silence be my loudest sentence. The storm didn't need thunder. It already hit them where it hurt their image. I stayed in Oregon until the day after the party was supposed to happen. I hiked the dunes that morning with fog in my lungs and grit on my boots. I watched a seagull pick apart a dead fish and thought, nature doesn't fake anything. It just is. That night, I opened my phone again just for one person, my cousin Jenna. I sent her one simple text. "So, how was the big party?" She replied in less than 60 seconds. "OMG, call me, you have no idea." When I picked up, I didn't even get a hello. "Dude," she burst out. It was a flaming dumpster of a disaster, and not the cool kind you can salvage parts from. I laughed, actually laughed. The first real one in days. "Start from the top," I said, settling onto the cabin's porch swing. "Oh, I will," Jenna said, practically giddy. "So, since the Malibu venue got canceled out of nowhere, wonder why they had to move everything to your parents' backyard. Total scramble. The tent they rented, too small, and it rained. It never rains there. I know, like biblical-style rain, thunder, wind. I think even the clouds were judging them. I could picture it perfectly. Celine's glittering engagement fantasy reduced to soggy hors d'oeuvres and a mother-in-law scowling under a dripping canopy. But wait, it gets better, Jenna continued. The catering van showed up at the original venue because no one told them about the location change. By the time they rerouted, everything was cold. Half the guests left before dessert. I winced in mock sympathy. Tragic. And Evan's parents, not impressed. His dad kept saying stuff like, "When we hosted our engagement party, we had it at the country club." And his mom asked why they didn't just reschedule if the venue fell through. You could see them calculating. I couldn't help myself. "Did anyone mention me?" "Oh, honey," Jenna said, "Aunt Carol did more than mention you." When someone asked why the venue fell through, she blurted, "Isn't it because Riley pulled her money?" I choked. She didn't. She did. In front of everyone, including Evan's entire family. Let me guess. That's when Celine found out it was me who paid. Ding, ding, ding. It was like a bomb went off. She turned this pale, blotchy pink like someone photoshopped all the confidence off her face. I leaned back, stunned. "So? Evan knows now." "Oh yeah. Apparently he didn't even know you'd paid. Your dad told Celine he handled the deposit. Evan had no clue. When it came out that you paid and still weren't invited, let's just say the poor guy looked like someone ran over his conscience." I went quiet for a second, absorbing it. Guess what Jenna added? "He left. Just walked out. Didn't say goodbye. Got in his Tesla and dipped. Left Celine sobbing in the tent while his mom fake smiled through murder eyes." I shook my head breath, catching somewhere between disbelief and something deeper, maybe grief for what should have been, or maybe relief for what finally surfaced. After I hung up, I opened Instagram out of curiosity. One new message request from Evan. It was short. Hey, I just found out everything. I didn't know you paid for the venue. Didn't know you weren't invited. I'm sorry. My dad was a garbage collector too, 11 years before he went to law school. I respect what you do. Honestly, I would have done the same thing. I get it. This doesn't excuse anything, but I wanted you to hear it from me. You didn't deserve what happened. I stared at the message for a long time. Didn't reply. Didn't delete it. I just screenshotted it and saved it in a folder labeled Proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that I wasn't trash. Proof that someone outside my family finally saw me clearly. After that, I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the hum of tires on asphalt and the kind of clarity that only comes after a storm passes. Back in Nevada, I slipped right back into rhythm. Morning routes, afternoon restorations, same grease, same peace. The calls from my family slowed, then stopped. No apology, no flowers, just silence, which honestly felt like the cleanest thing they'd given me in years. And in that silence, something shifted. I stopped waiting to be chosen. I stopped trying to explain my worth, because I already knew. It didn't take long for the damage to reach critical mass. 2 days after I got back from Oregon, there was a knock at my door. It was loud, angry. The kind of knock that doesn't wait to be answered, it demands surrender. I opened it to find my dad. 4 hours of bottled rage on his face. He looked at me like I'd crashed the family car, not just canceled a party I paid for. You embarrassed this entire family, he snapped, stepping past me like he owned the floor beneath my feet. He was in my apartment for the first time in 2 years, but he didn't look around. Didn't ask how I'd been. Didn't notice the polished carburetor on my table or the perfectly organized ledger sitting beside it. No. He came to make sure I knew my place. Your sister's future in-laws think we're a disaster now, he barked. They're questioning if Evan should even marry into this family. I didn't move, didn't blink, just leaned back against the door frame, arms crossed. Maybe I said you should have told me I wasn't welcome before cashing my $5,000. That's not how it was, he huffed. No, because Selene told me I smelled like diesel and would ruin her photo ops. She didn't mean it like that. She meant every word. He paced the room like a lion in a too small cage. Do you even understand the position you put her in? She's under so much pressure. Evan's family has influence. You have no idea how important this marriage is for her future. Ah, there it was. That unspoken truth finally said out loud. This wasn't about love. It was about leverage, about ladder climbing. You mean for your future, I said quietly. Because if she marries rich, you all get to shine. He tried to brush it off. You could have just done the right thing, helped your sister. That's what family does. I laughed, a soft bitter sound. No, that's what servants do. He paused, then visibly trying to control himself. $5,000, he muttered. It's not like it was a life-changing amount, and something about the way he said it, like it was a stretch for me, like I should have been grateful to contribute. That's when I snapped. I walked over to the bookshelf and pulled down a binder. I flipped it open and dropped it on the table. What's this? He asked, flipping through the pages. Bank records, tax returns, photos of restored car parts, sold inventory, net income statements. He blinked at a number. You made 6 figures from junk. From the things people like you toss away without knowing what they're worth, I said. He looked up, and for the first time that day, I saw something in his face I hadn't seen since I was a kid. Not shame, not guilt, fear. Fear that I didn't need him. That I never did, that I'd succeeded completely out of his reach. You kept this from us, he said quietly. No, I corrected. You never asked, not once. He stared at me, then muttered, You've changed. No, I said. I just stopped shrinking to make you comfortable. When he finally left, he slammed the door, like that would somehow make me feel small again. It didn't. The next week, my mom showed up. She didn't knock like Dad did. She tapped gently, almost sweetly, like she was already rehearsing her forgiveness. Can I come in? She asked softly. She looked around my apartment like it was a crime scene she was trying not to contaminate. "Riley," she said, settling onto the couch, "we need to talk about your future. Here we go." "What about it?" I asked, already knowing exactly where this was headed. She gave me a practiced smile. "You're 31. Don't you think it's time you found a more respectable career path?" I blinked. "You mean one that wouldn't get me banned from family parties?" She pursed her lips. "People judge. That's just reality. And this," she gestured vaguely around my space, "this lifestyle. It's not sustainable. I like my lifestyle," I said. "It's paid for." She sighed. "We just want you to be taken seriously. No, you want me to be palatable." Silence. Then without shame, she pivoted. "Celine and Evan are looking at apartments in Brentwood. The rent is astronomical. But with your income, maybe you could help out." I didn't let her finish. "Get out," I said. Her head snapped up. "What? Get out? You're being unreasonable." "No," I said, voice calm as glass. "I'm just done funding people who can't even say thank you." Her face hardened. "You've become bitter." "No," I said. "I've become visible. And you don't like what you see." After that, I didn't hear from anyone. Not Dad, not Mom, not Celine. Radio silence, which was honestly better than the static I grew up in, judgment wrapped in obligation. Until one day, Jenna called again. "Get ready," she said. "The fallout is getting delicious." Apparently, Selena's party had become a running joke. Her bridesmaids were dropping out left and right. One of them, Madison, posted a story calling her classist and fake. Even Evan's family started pulling back. The weekly family dinners Celine used to brag about gone. Apparently, Evan's mother wanted to reassess family values. And my dad. He started spinning tales, telling relatives I was jealous of Celine's future and struggling emotionally. Jenna said nobody bought it. Too many people had seen the receipts, literally. And me, I was thriving. I bought a second storage unit, leased a small workshop, started shipping parts to collectors in Germany and Japan, hired an assistant to help with logistics, and I didn't post about it, except one thing. A single photo, a freshly restored 1964 Mustang intake, manifold polished to perfection. Caption trash is just treasure that landed in the wrong hands. Let them figure it out. It happened 3 months after the backyard disaster. I was in my new workshop, grease on my hands, a podcast playing low, the late summer sun slanting through the windows. When the bell over the front door chimed, I looked up, and there she was. Celine. Wearing oversized sunglasses, designer flats, and the kind of nervous smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She stood in the doorway like she wasn't sure whether to hug me or run. "Nice place," she said, voice cautious. I didn't get up from my stool, just wiped my hands on a rag and nodded. "Thanks." "What do you want, Celine?" She flinched at my tone. "I just wanted to see how you were doing." "I'm doing great," I said flatly. "Business is booming." She glanced around at the gleaming shelves of restored parts, the whiteboard filled with orders, the invoices neatly pinned to a corkboard by the door. I heard she murmured, "Mom told me you're successful now." I raised an eyebrow. Now she looked down. "I mean, I didn't know how serious this was. I thought it was just a hobby. You thought wrong." There was a long silence. Then she sighed. Riley, I'm sorry." "About what I said, about the party." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Are you sorry because you meant it, or because it blew up in your face?" She didn't answer right away. And that silence, that was the answer. "I messed up," she finally whispered. "I let people get in my head. I wanted things to be perfect, and I thought if I invited you, it would complicate things. Because I don't fit your aesthetic, no. Because I didn't want to feel small next to you. That threw me." "What are you talking about?" I said. "You're the one with the LA job and the curated life." She laughed once, bitter, hollow. "Yeah, well." Evan left. I stared. "What after the party?" she said, looking at the floor. "He said he couldn't be with someone who'd treat her own sister like that. Said it showed a character defect." His words. Her voice cracked on the last syllable. I didn't gloat. Didn't smirk. Because the truth is, I didn't want this for her. Not really. That sucks, I said. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Are you? She asked, startled. Yeah. Despite everything, you're still my sister. I don't want you to be miserable. I just want you to stop treating me like garbage every time someone with a bigger wallet walks in the room. She nodded, eyes glassy. I've been seeing a therapist, she admitted, trying to figure out why I care so much about impressing people who don't even like me, why I was willing to humiliate you just to look polished. That's a start. We didn't hug. We weren't there yet. But we didn't argue either. Before she left, she looked around the shop one more time. This place, it's really something. I met her gaze. It's mine. Built it myself. Piece by piece. She nodded, then walked out. And you know what? That conversation didn't fix everything. But it didn't need to. Because for the first time, she saw me. Not as the dirty hands, not as the job title, not as the family's awkward secret. She saw me as a woman who built her own future without their approval. Later that night, I scrolled through my business inbox. One message caught my eye. It was from Madison Celine's ex-bridesmaid. Just wanted to say thank you. You standing your ground helped me walk away from a toxic friendship I'd been clinging to for too long. You're kind of a badass. I'm cheering for you. I smiled. Poetic justice doesn't always come with revenge. Sometimes it comes in echoes, whispers of people waking up, standing taller, changing paths, because you showed them it's possible. And me, I just kept showing up, waking up before dawn, fixing what's broken, restoring what's been tossed aside. Because sometimes you're not trash. You're just treasure that landed in the wrong hands. Life didn't change overnight. My parents still haven't apologized. Dad's too proud. Mom's too busy pretending she didn't raise one daughter to shine and the other to stay in the shadows. But I'm not waiting on them anymore. I go to work. I run my business. I ship parts to collectors across the world and spend my evenings sanding chrome and sketching new designs for engine displays. Some Saturdays, I still hit up estate sales, yard cleanouts, storage unit auctions because that's where I started. That's where I feel most grounded, not in banquet halls, not in designer labels, but among the forgotten things that need a second chance. Celine and I aren't close. Not yet. But we grab coffee once in a while. She asks more questions now. She listens. She says thank you. And sometimes, that's enough. Other times I remember the way she looked at me that day, like I was an obstacle to her image. And I remind myself, I'm not the problem. I'm just the mirror they couldn't stand to look into. And maybe, just maybe, my quiet rebellion wasn't about revenge at all. Maybe it was about finally seeing myself clearly. I'm not the family embarrassment. I'm the one who cleaned up their mess, then walked away. Have you ever been treated like an outsider in your own family, excluded, underestimated, used? Drop your story in the comments because someone else needs to know they're not alone. And if you know your worth, even when others don't, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this. We don't burn bridges here. We build better ones out of scrap.